Stubbornness and nervousness in children. The state of stubbornness and nervousness in children is one of the types of disturbed behavior, which reveals feelings of alienation and hatred from the child to the people surrounding it, and this behavior may be issued by the child consciously and willingly, or unconsciously, so that his actions are in the form of a habit that he practices, and the stubborn child needs the nervous of educators as caring, utmost care, and not giving up, but rather speeding up the treatment of this behavior, in addition to not accustoming him to achieving his demands in a lot of crying and urgency, and this behavior must not be rooted in the same child, and it does not create a perception in his mind that all members of the family are subject to his whims and desires. Therefore, parents must tame the child to obey them, and help them gain a likable personality among people in the future. 1. Volume 0%. Stubborn and nervous behavior may be transmitted between children, as a stubborn child can become an example to be followed by other children. 1. It should be noted that the child's nervousness may result from a distress he feels, or tension that affects the direction of a problem or a situation that he has experienced, and the manifestations of nervousness in the child, severe screaming, or quarrels with his peers, and with those surrounding him, such as his brothers and his parents, or nibbling flea, suck fingers, or stick to what they want badly. 2. For more information about the qualities of a stubborn child, read the article about the characteristics of a stubborn child. How to deal with a stubborn and nervous child. There are many methods that parents should follow with a stubborn and nervous child to treat this unwanted behavior, including negotiating with the child. The child needs to feel some control in his private life without always receiving orders from others, so parents must try negotiating with their children, discussing what they want, hearing and understanding, as well as giving them some freedom to express themselves. 3. And may help them in this by asking some questions to them, such as, "What is going on?" or "How can I help you?" or "Why do you feel annoyed?" or "What do you need now?" As it is indicated that this method makes the child feel that a strong person is able to express his needs. 4. Promote good behavior in the child. The child needs to receive praise when doing with good behavior, as this helps him feel safe and well balanced, and he also creates happiness in himself, and therefore parents must praise and reward their child every time he does good behavior, whether it is at home or in a public place, and in return, when the child does something bad, then his parents must discipline him. 5. Respect for the child. Parents should give the child respect and acceptance of his own decisions and choices, as the child often tends to reject the authority imposed on him, which often drives him to stubbornness and non-response, and for this it is advised that parents listen to their children's opinions and understand what they want, and try to calmly discuss them to persuade them, and cooperate with them, and to offer sympathy, affection, and love to them, not to ignore their feelings and thoughts, and to instill confidence in them, without trying to force them, as children love their views and options to receive attention from parents. 6. Redirecting the child's attention. Parents may see their child's direction towards undesirable behavior, then they should divert his attention from that behavior by calling him and asking him if he wants to play with a specific game, or watch his favorite program, and for this purpose parents should always keep a set of distractions that the child loves, and use it when needed, such as keeping his favorite books and games, or preparing his meal that he loves to eat it, which helps in distracting him, and avoids any undesirable behavior from him. 3. Dividing the child's tasks can be the child's obstinacy and his refusal to fulfill his parents' requests due to his inability to complete the tasks and duties to be performed, in which case the task should be divided into smaller parts with a view to completing it in several stages, with short periods of rest being taken, as following this method can reduce the child's stubbornness and push him to finish the task better than trying to finish it in one session. 7. Child participation in work. Attempting to share a child in work rather than directing orders may be a successful way to avoid stubbornness, as many children are sensitive to receiving orders from others, especially if it is in a way that they do not like, such as raising the voice, or trying to force them, which makes them inclined to stubbornness, and therefore parents must try to change their approach and style in dealing with the stubborn child, and initiate his participation in the work required of him, as this will prompt him to do what he must do without feeling that he is carrying out orders. 4. 8. Creating a routine in a life. A child improves the routine in a child's life from his behavior and academic performance, as he can expect the course of things and events in his day without disturbance. For example, a child needs 10 to 12 hours of sleep daily, while sleeping less than that negatively affects his behavior. The village to was stubbornness for subversive behaviors. It is therefore preferable to follow a certain routine in a child's daily life. 3. Packages. In dealing with the child, parents sometimes have to resort to firmness and follow the method of warning with their child. When the child does wrong actions, parents must warn him to stop it, otherwise it will be exposed for punishment, bearing in mind that this method does not return negative effects on the child, as the goal of its use is to correct the situation and not harm the child. 1. Not to treat the obstinacy of the child as a problem. That parents should not treat the obstinacy of children as a problem. In many cases, stubbornness is beneficial to children in their lives. For example, it may give them insistence in searching for a solution to a mathematics problem they encounter, and it makes them committed to their own convictions that avoid them in some future deviant behaviors. 9. Other advice for dealing with a stubborn and nervous child. 10. Consolidating the relationship between the child and his parents. The greater the child's love for his parents, the greater his acceptance of them and his response to their demands. Leave room for the child to growl a little, and express his opinion on a subject. When the child is implemented to do something that he does not want, this gives him an opportunity to vent his inner feelings that he hides. A role model, as the child must find someone to imitate him in his life, and often his closest role models are his parents, so he resorted to imitating their actions positively or negatively, as he follows the same treatment method, the method of dialogue and discussion with others, and respect for those who are older, and other behavior that is a practical lesson for a child from his parents. Taking into account individual differences between children, the parents do not ask the child something that he is unable to implement, or that he cannot do. Consistency in opinion and indulgence, so parents will not be hardened once and indulge again in the same matter, as the child does not tolerate fluctuations in standards, so the result is his refusal to implement the order. Ignore the behavior of disobedience and rebellion in the moment of exhaustion and anger of the child, and not insist on carrying out the order until he calms down. Accustoming the child to help, as it can help the child to break the stubbornness by leaving the role of the assistant to him, then praise what he is doing. 11. Using the options method with the child. Instead of saying, "Go to bed for sleep," he can be asked by asking, "Do you want the story S or PBUH?" And if he answered, "I do not want to sleep," then he can reply with, "This is not among the options," and put the options back again.